we start Wednesday at noon, and to our familiar listeners, they realize this isn't just any ordinary game, right? It's fandom, fanhood, big stakes, Acrisure Stadium. The Steelers back home hosting the Chiefs. The Chiefs are a 3-point favorite on the road right now. Per our friends at DraftKings, the over-under is 43.5. And, guys, I can't help but think, this might sound a little bit on the nose, but this feels like the biggest game of the year so far for these teams. The most important game. Let me phrase it that way. It's the most important game, and I'll explain why to our listeners. From the Chiefs side of things, obviously, the chance to secure the number one seed and everything that means for the weeks ahead and getting rest, which they desperately are going to need. But also to build on these last couple weeks where I would say as a whole they've started to look better and better. This past game, in my opinion, their best all-around game of the year against Houston. You would like to see that continue to ascend, and if they do that, if they go into Pittsburgh, really tough place to play, and they win that game and they look pretty good doing it, you can already tell like the narrative is going to start to become, okay, they've arrived. It's that time of year. They're the favorite. They're back to being the Super Bowl favorite by odds makers. On the flip side, and Bass Daddy, I think you'll feel this. I mean, huge for the Steelers. It's a chance to, of course, maintain the top of the AFC North, but also after this 2-game losing skid, with Pickens coming back in the fold, is he going to be that piece that wins this game? And we're talking again about the Steelers. No, they are a Super Bowl contender. Instead of where it feels like the conversation's starting to drift the other direction, it feels like people are starting to say they're in a tier below the top of the AFC and they're not ready to make that run. But if they win Wednesday, it changes everything. And then you can simply hang your hat and say, oh, well, we just lost those games or looked that way because we didn't have our number one weapon. So there's a lot riding on it. I'm excited about it, but I know it's not going to be easy. And so, Bass Daddy, how are you feeling right now as we get really close to the game?
I'm excited. I'm glad we're going to have Pickens back. I like the spot that we're in, honestly, in terms of coming into the game against the Kansas City Chiefs. We've been without Pickens. We've lost 2 games in a row. I actually remember in 2016, the first time I went to Pittsburgh, we beat the shit out of the Chiefs. And I think the week following up to that, we got our ass beat by Philly in Philadelphia, which I obviously know it's been a couple weeks. But playing these past 2 games without Pickens, I mean, they haven't been against sleazy opponents. We went on the road in Philly and lost without him. We went on the road and played Lamar Jackson and Henry without him. Being at home with him, even if he doesn't make that huge impact, 100+ yards received, still having him out there, if he can come down with 1 or 2 of those balls that help us flip the field, and our defense playing, I think we might have some luck getting after Patrick Mahomes, but vice versa. I think, remember you mentioned Chris Jones saying at 50-50, but George Karlaftis, Bolton. I mean, you guys got playmakers all over the place. So if our tackles aren't ready, Broderick Jones obviously going to get called for holding at least 3 or 4 times, along with Joey Porter Jr. But I'm not looking forward to the pass rush and Steve Spagnuolo's defense either.
No doubt, man. I think it's going to be a stout matchup, right? You guys are still playing for. Are you guys officially out of the 1 seed contention? I wasn't sure what your record is.
Yeah.
So you're playing for the North Division title, and
the 3 maybe.
Yeah, the 3 would probably be the max, I believe. Yeah.
That sounds right. Stakes are still very high, right? So you guys are going to be laying it all on the line. Chiefs are going to be laying it all on the line because this is their chance to clinch that 1 seed. And, man, it's going to be pretty exciting, right? Netflix, Christmas Day. What a gift for this podcast, right? I mean, we should definitely live tweet it or live Instagram story it or whatever, just to keep people up to date what's going on, because people are going to want to know. This is a rivalry game, and it's going to be finally played out on the field. And this is probably is it the first time in the podcast history where it like feels a little bit more on even ground? So I think that's exciting.
Man, I think it's the first time in the podcast history, period.
That they played each other, really?
We did Ben's last year.
Wasn't there a postseason game or something?
The podcast hadn't started.
Really?
We didn't start. Wow. We didn't start till 22, so that was 21. The playoff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, then the stakes have never been higher. This is finally coming to a head. It's been years in the making. Very exciting. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the Chiefs, obviously, I'm a little biased here. I feel like they're kind of putting it together. They're finally, like we're getting close to the postseason. Let's get some stuff rolling in the right direction. And I feel like it's headed that way. I don't know what you think, Bass Daddy.
Closer the Steelers are getting to the postseason, it seems like the further we are away from being ready. I'm hoping that's just Pickens. Who knows? I'll go ahead and make my pick. After the game at noon on Christmas, I will solidify a 2-win lead in our football picks here. Because I'm going to go with Pittsburgh winning the game 30-26. That's what I've got.
It's a good game.
High scoring.
It is a good game. Guys, we talked about on the show last week the ankle thing with Mahomes. Now, obviously, he's fine, right? I mean, he clearly showed that. But the discussion we had was maybe that forces him to play in a more productive way. Get the ball out a little quicker. Just be more in tune. Well, here's some stats for you. On Saturday against Houston, he was 17 for 19 for 155 yards and a touchdown on plays when he threw the ball in under 2.5 seconds. That is his fastest average to throw time since 2021 week 4. So it's been over 3 years since he got rid of the ball that quick. I don't think that's a coincidence, whether it was the play calls or him or all the above. So look for that to continue, especially with the pass rush. I mean, Pittsburgh's, that's obviously the bread and butter of that team. And so big deal there. Last thing I want to touch on, feels good right now, Matt. You said it. It feels like they're starting to really hit that stride. But if they lose this game, Kansas City that is, and if Cincinnati beats Denver, well, then all of a sudden next week, we're going to be stuck on Sunday Night Football in Denver, Colorado, just trying to win and earn that bye. And that's not going to be easy. So I think to that point, and Patrick spoke to it a little today, I think they realize the urgency here. They're going to treat this kind of like a final warm-up for the playoffs. And for that reason, I am going to go with Kansas City. No surprise there. 27-21, my final.
Very interesting. This is kind of obviously putting the cart before the horse here a little bit, Brian. But let's just say hypothetically that the Chiefs were to win this game. What do you think? Do you think is it like 20-something days before they would play again? Like, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it would be 24. Now, I will say the last time they were in this position in 2020, locked up the bye before the last week, and they did sit. That was the year they went on to the Super Bowl, lost to Tampa Bay. But for what it's worth, that first playoff game, they came out of the chutes fast and got up like 21-3 on Cleveland, I think it was, before Mahomes had his thing. So there's a track record that says that they won't be affected by them. And I just think they need the rest, man. They haven't had a bye since week 6.
I mean, I absolutely agree. And what you said, those statistics, very reassuring. Before I get into my pick, Bass Daddy, how are we feeling about Russell Wilson after last week?
I think he's fine. He made a mistake, but
You still
On the
like the guy?
road, oh yeah, I still think he's a good option. Here's something else too. I mean, under Tomlin, having Russell Wilson, you don't see the Steelers lose multiple games like this in a row. It's really kind of shocking for me. I mean, I kind of thought we'd lose the, well, I don't know. It's just kind of weird. Like the tension in the locker room right now, the preparing for this game against Kansas City, returning to home. I'm a little bit more confident, I think, than what I should be. But I think Russell Wilson's just fine. He made a horrible throw, trying to do a little too much. It's going to happen, but some of the plays he did make, rolling out of the pocket, almost getting sacked and throwing downfield it looked like vintage Russ. There were some flashes of that, but is he good enough to get us somewhere further than what we've been in the past 15 years? Yes, he's good enough to do that, I think. Everything
Yes.
else has got to mesh, but
Yes. Yeah, and I mean, I think he's had a great season so far, but we'll get into it later why I ask you that question. And but for now, maybe I'm a little too confident, Best Eddie, but not in the Steelers. In the Kansas City Chiefs, I got the Chiefs winning this game. Don't hate me. 29-18. I don't know why. I just feel like they think they got to get it done. You know, they're getting things put together. The Steelers.
what do you think the Steelers think? You think they don't have to get anything done?
I mean, yes and
We're
no.
trying to win our division, man. You guys are
Yeah.
already going to get a bye week 1. You see the Bills schedule. I get that, but
They play the
you guys
Jets
are
and
going to be
Pats.
just fine. I know, but you guys are going to be just fine. Even if you
Maybe.
guys didn't, I'm just saying, you guys are going to get a freaking bye.
They
Because of the
both need
Chiefs.
this, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, that's true.
They both need it though, and to be honest, you're gonna say I'm probably crazy. Like if the Steelers end up not winning their division, which predicting them to lose this game kind of lends itself towards that.
Yeah.
Okay, you get to go play Houston in the first round. There's a lot worse things. If the goal is to start by winning a playoff game, that might be a better draw than whatever you get as the division winner, the Chargers or whatever the case may be. I don't know, but
I just want a home
Pittsburgh
playoff
needs it.
game is what I want. Yeah.
Like,
We
yeah,
haven't had that home playoff game in a long time.
that is true. It has been.
I get that. I get that sentiment.
But knowing that we have a clinched spot in the playoffs is a great feeling too. That's a feeling that we haven't had in years past.
Yeah.
So
It's good all around, you know? I mean, maybe it's not the way we're going to want it to shake out one way or the other, but maybe it's the way it's supposed to shake out, and that's the beauty of life.
that's right.